Hello, friends. I have something on my mind that I wanted to share with you today. Something a little controversial. My thoughts on the dark side of the sleep industry. You see, I've been in the sleep world for a long time, and one thing I see and understand is that it can be hard to know who to trust in the world of infant sleep. And by that I mean choosing who you want to train with if you want to help families, and even for families, who they can rely on. After all, the sleep industry hasn't exactly covered itself in glory over the years, has it? You don't have to look too far online to see fear-mongering, misinformation, and people making a quick buck from parents being at their wits' end. I seem to spend a huge amount of my time supporting students to sieve the vast amounts of information they've heard or been taught about sleep. I spend hours every month reviewing the available literature, critiquing flawed research, or trying to make sense of studies that have missed the point. The mainstream sleep training narrative has sunk its teeth into almost every area of sleep research. The outdated behaviourist paradigm still reigns supreme in the design of most research studies that explore how to modify what is essentially normal infant behaviour. The frustrating thing is that amongst the misinformation and bias, there is game-changing information on sleep biology out there and incredible research shining a light on genuinely brilliant ways to support families. It's just that it tends to get lost in the pattern repeat of tough love, forced separation, premature night weaning, and cry it out. If you're currently supporting parents and families with sleep, perhaps you've seen the fallout of how the sleep industry has burned parents. Ideas that feel harsh or counterintuitive, like trying to ignore the sound of your baby crying while avoiding eye contact. These can cause parents to feel complex emotions, including stress, anxiety, guilt, despair, and desperation. Ideas that simply don't work, like trying to squeeze a baby into a strict schedule that was sold as the way to give the parent their life back. But what kind of life is it when you're tied to the clock and your baby is finding it impossible to conform to this societal expectation? Sure, schedules work for some, but a large study found that we're really only talking about 15% of babies. Ideas that do nothing to build parental confidence and enhance bonding, like watching the app to tell you when your baby needs a nap, or following a wake window guide rather than learning how your baby uniquely tells you what they need. For over 200 years, parents have received the message loud and clear: you don't know what's best for your baby. The professionals do. And what this causes is a lack of confidence, a sense of not knowing what to do, or feeling like they or their babies are broken or incompetent. Of course, parents are bombarded with this information. Social media, apps, and popular culture floods their radar to the point where nobody can remember who first said that babies should sleep 12 hours straight from 12 weeks. It's just popular knowledge. Nobody can remember who first said that night feeding is unnecessary after 6 months. It's just what everyone says. Nobody can remember why it is that we need to leave babies to cry to teach them to self-soothe. It's just what you do. Even though none of these things are evidence-based, easy to achieve, or universally developmentally appropriate, it's just the mainstream narrative. And what happens is that the messages that bombard parents also filter into health and sleep professional education too, don't they? 7 till 7. The danger of short naps, overtiredness, early bedtimes, all these concepts widely regarded as fact and yet deeply flawed and misunderstood. All of them have crept into most of the sleep education accessible by the very people parents are likely to call on for help when they're struggling. And maybe you can relate. Maybe you've even seen this cycle of misinformation perpetuated by sleep trainers and sometimes health professionals, causing more and more confusion and anxiety. Of course, that's not where it ends. Not only do many parents feel like they're drowning in a sea of conflicting and confusing information, some of which doesn't even make sense, and some of which is impossible to implement, but courses aimed at training sleep trainers and coaches often compound the issue by embedding these misleading concepts into their curriculum, thereby churning out more people who unwittingly become part of the problem. The truth is, sleep, parenting, and the early years are complex and nuanced, And anyone trying to suggest that there is a cookie-cutter solution to a given problem simply doesn't understand this. And I find it frustrating when, as a compassionate and intelligent professional, you want to be able to offer a high-quality service to families, and yet you end up being misled. In many ways, you can be misled just as easily as the millions of parents every year who stumble into rabbit hole after rabbit hole of sleep misinformation. We hate seeing people like you who just want to help more parents and be rewarded well for doing so, stripped of the confidence to step into that dream. You might be wondering at this point why I'm criticising the very industry I'm part of. It's a reasonable question. Are we just like all the rest? Am I poacher turned gamekeeper? A double agent? Well, the truth is I was that confused parent that was exhausted and desperate, but didn't think I could trust anyone to not just tell me to leave my little ones to cry. I was that health professional who heard the myths about night feeds and self-soothing and felt frustrated on parents' behalf that the information they urgently needed wasn't widely available. I've been the person looking around for a course that was nuanced and well-informed, a course that acknowledged that sleep is both subtle and complex, a course that promoted biological norms and respected how brilliant infants and young children are, but also acknowledged the complexities of parenting in the modern world with little social support and extraordinary pressures. A course that never forced premature night weaning, separation, or challenged infant mental health, and yet also provided pragmatic and sensible solutions that helped parents cope and find sustainability. A course that was run by a clinician who understood the importance of scope of practice and staying in your lane as a sleep coach. It simply didn't exist. So I wrote it. And I couldn't have done it without my brilliant co-founder Emma, who also saw the need for a better way of supporting families and who also wanted sleep consultants to have the tools to make a huge impact, to be seen and to be able to build sustainable and joyful business where the foundation of their business was based on connection, not the latest marketing fad. It's been an incredible journey. At the start, it was one where we felt like we were flying a bit of a lonely flag promoting responsive sleep. But roll on 5 years, it's been amazing to see the mainstream sleep training voice being quietened, seeing parents become more aware that they have a choice, and seeing the feedback candidates receive from families being told they've changed lives. Families who now feel more confident, feel more connected, now feel like they can have another child and expand their family. And that's what lights me up. It lights both of us up. And so if this is your calling, then my message for you is that when you really are on the side of empowering families, this is a job that will light you up too.